I'm Kelly Reeves, and I work at Studio 3, and Tyson and my colleague and I have been brainstorming about what we could do this summer. And so we came up with a cooking show, and I'm doing the pilot episode with my family meatloaf, I guess you could call it. So we're gonna call this Worthington's Kitchen, and we're gonna hope to have different recipes and things like that, and have guests in with different cultural food, different ethnic food, special guests, things like that. But today you've got me. I grew up in Iowa, and this is a recipe that my family made. My grandma made it, my mom made it, and now I make it for my family, and it's a favorite of my family's. And my mom now says that she likes my meatloaf better, but I think she really forgot how good hers was. And I don't claim to be a fantastic cook, but I do like to cook. And you'll notice as I make this recipe that I really don't have any measurements. There's not a measuring cup anywhere or spoon to be seen anywhere here. So it's kind of by look, feel, and this is kind of how I've always done it. Let's get started. So right now I have 3 pounds of meat that's at room temperature. And what I do is, sometimes I use Lowry salt. I don't have any here today, but I'll salt this, pretty generously. Like I said, really no measurements here. Pepper. Generous there again. And then I use garlic powder. And you can use garlic salt too. You just cut back on the salt that you use. And I will add salt, probably a little bit more salt too. I'd say about a half a teaspoon to a teaspoon of garlic salt, maybe just another pinch more. I also use Worcestershire sauce. I said that without messing up. Worcestershire sauce. And add some splashes. Okay, there's that. So far, that's what I'll start off with for spices. Also now, I have like 3 onions, and that's what I'll start off with. That should be it's about an onion per pound. I like onion. If you wanted to use less, you could use onion flakes, onion powder. If you didn't like raw onion, I know some people don't. I cut this up, and then I have this chopper that I got for a wedding gift nearly 30 years ago. And I have been gifted lots of other things for chopping and doing things, nice, fancy, big food processors, but I still always kind of come back to this. I love it. So anyway, you don't want to overload this just because it is little, but it is mighty. So then I'll come over here. And I chop it pretty fine. There's the first onion batch. Now I'll have to do some more. My family likes onion, so I don't really have a problem with that, but I know a lot of people are not fans of onion. And so you can work around that, like I said, with garlic or with onion powder or salt. And so we'll do this again. Okay, yeah, that looks a little bit better. Okay, we're getting there. I'll do at least one more and pour that in. Okay, that's looking pretty good. I'm gonna get my hands in here now for a little bit. And I'm just gonna kind of break that out. I did have this I thought out the hamburger the night before. I've tried to do it in a pinch and do it in the microwave, and then you end up with a little cooked and it doesn't work out good. So, and then I let it set. So it's kind of room temperature, which is always, it's easier on the hands. Anyway, so it's gonna kind of look, just like you're making a meatball. All right, so now you're kind of well, you still got, doesn't look like it's gonna feed very many people. But like I said, this was for stretching the dollar and the pound of meat. So now what we're gonna do, like I said, I may add more onion later, but let's just move that off for a second. Now I use salted saltines. This is what my mom used, this is what we like. You know, I've tried a couple of other different things. I've tried the Ritz crackers, I've tried some other filler, but this breadcrumbs, but this is what my family prefers. As far as measurements, probably about a sleeve of crackers to a pound of meat. And maybe even more, depending on how far you want to stretch it. What I do is I just take the sleeve of crackers and I put it in a plastic bag, and then I crush it up, and then I take my good old rolling pin and I smash the heck out of it. And you can also have a coarser cracker crumb too. It doesn't, you know, if you want to do it that way, you can do it that way. So anyway, so there's one sleeve. So I'm probably going to do 3 sleeves on this one. Let's see if I can open that up. Sometimes things don't always go as planned, but we improvise, people, we improvise. Making a mess, but you gotta break a few eggs, as they say, to make a cake or a meatloaf. All right, so let's do another sleeve. Better than therapy. Okay, now let's open this up in the bag. That might be a better idea. All right. They're fairly fine. Let's do that, and then we'll do one more. Ritz crackers are a little sweeter, so that might give you a little more sweetness. I think they're a little bit more, I don't know, they seem like a little more greasy, or I don't know if that's the right word, but so that would give it a little different texture too. I tend to add a little bit of sugar in every savory dish I use, whether it's brown sugar or white sugar. It's something that my mom always did and my grandma did too, and I don't know, it just cuts, like if you're doing spaghetti sauce or something, it just cuts the acidity a little bit. So all right, now what I have here is the crackers, the onions, and the meat. Now I'm gonna put in some egg. Now I crack my eggs, of course, in a separate dish to make sure that they're not spoiled, because you don't want to spoil the meat. Let's start off, let's do 3 eggs. And I just crack them in here. I don't whisk them up or anything. I guess you could, but I don't. And so let's just pour those in. Okay, sometimes I will add a little milk as well, just if I'm feeling like I need a little more liquid. I'm gonna throw in now, let's do some ketchup. Okay, and ketchup does have sugar in it too, as we all know. That's why it's really, really good. Okay, throw a little ketchup in, and a little bit of, I believe this is, yeah, I think it's light brown sugar. No, it's just regular brown sugar. So throw about a teaspoon in, let's say that. And all right, now we're gonna roll up our sleeves. Let's throw a little more Worcestershire in. And we'll see what we've got here. So now you're gonna get your hands in here and see how it feels. This is kind of fun. Oh, I can see, I think we're gonna need maybe another egg. Let's do a little bit more onion. Yeah, let's use all that. Let's do that. That onion all mixed in with the meat. I am going to add another sleeve of crackers. 4 sleeves of crackers, 3 pounds of meat. 2½ onions, I think we're at now. Some ketchup, some Worcestershire, 3 eggs. We're at. I don't think I've ever used this many crackers, although sometimes I do. Here I go with the Worcestershire sauce again. And the saltines do have salt in it, but I am going to add a little bit more salt and pepper. And let's go in again with garlic powder. And let's do 1 more egg, cracking it in here. Make sure we're good. Egg looks good, so let's throw that egg in. And get in here again with our hands. All right, that's feeling pretty good. Some ketchup in. A little brown sugar. And once again, here we go. Okay, so here's the mixture. We're just gonna kind of go for it. Like I said, you can't taste it, so you just have to throw it in the pan and hope for the best. Just kind of put it in here. Get all of it out. Okay, put it in my pan here. It's going to be kind of a thick meatloaf. This will not last long in my house. It will be gone by the second day. Okay, so I'm even it out all over there like that and like that. And then what I do, and this is a trick of my mother's, is I just take my fingers and I poke holes in the meatloaf. I'm going to pour that ketchup on. I want that to kind of seep down into it. Okay, like that. Use what God gave you. Okay, there you go. Add the very fancy Heinz 57. We are not sponsored by Heinz 57, by the way, but it is the best. And I'm just going to pour that on top, just kind of like this. Like I said, there will be ketchup eaten on the side, and this will be dipped for dipping. Ketchup on the side. You could make a pattern, you could make a word, you could write meatloaf if you were really handy. So there it is. Now what I do is I cover the meatloaf. You wouldn't have to, but I cover it for a little bit. And I've got the oven preheated to 375, and I'm gonna put this in for about 50 or 55 minutes. You can kind of read about how long people put their meat, loaf, how long they bake it. But I guess you can just tell when it's done, or else you can use a meat thermometer, and I think about 165, something like that degrees. So, all right. So let's pop it in the oven. Put it on the bottom rack. There's a lot of variations to meatloaf, different ethnic flavors and things that you put in, different vegetables, different fillers. If you have a different idea or something that you do differently with your meatloaf, why don't you put it in the comments and let us know how you make your meatloaf. Okay, so meatloaf's in the oven at 375. I set the timer for 50 minutes, so I'll check it there. I have it covered, and I will uncover it after about 40 minutes. And then when it's done, we'll come back. All right, so buzzers buzz. Let's go see how the meatloaf looks. Oh, yummy, yummy. Crusty on the sides, which I like. A little crust, almost like a little burnt ends, I guess, if you will. Those are coveted pieces in my family. Here is the famous Drew Thompson family meatloaf. And I would serve this with mashed potatoes or baked potatoes and a vegetable, usually corn, and probably in the fall, maybe a nice warm apple crisp with ice cream. Makes for a great dinner, good comfort food, a good meal to stretch your family budget. And anyway, just comment and let us know what you do with your meatloaf and how you make it, what you might add to it. And we'll see you next time on Worthington's Kitchen.